Today we're going to talk about switching your baby chicks to adult food. Let's go! I'm Becky. I used to live in the consumer rat race just like you. But one day I had enough, so I sold it all, moved to the country, and built my own log cabin with my own two hands. Now I spend my time discovering new ways to live a simple, healthy lifestyle with more free time and way less stress, then sharing what I've learned with you. Welcome to Becky's Homestead. I have a lot of people contact me wanting to know how and when to switch their babies from Kickstarter over to adult food. So first I want to say this, you don't want to rush it, but then again, you don't want to delay. So what I start doing is offering some corn and a little bit of whole oats at about 4 to 6 weeks. It does vary because what I go by is what the chickens look like. You know, if they're looking kind of feisty and healthy and, you know, they're strong, I'll start offering to them at 4 weeks. Now, if they're a little more delayed, because different breeds are different, and they're a little more delayed and they still look like very babyish, you know what I mean, I'll wait, you know, to 5, 6 weeks, I'll start offering it. Now the key is you're not just gonna like dump in this big scoop for these little tiny babies. And then you're gonna think, oh, they don't eat it. Well, they might eat 1 or 2 pieces and you're not even gonna notice that. So what I do is get a very small amount and I will just put it in there and then you can tell if they eat a little bit of it. Morning and night. Now here's the key. If you go in at night, you know, in the evening, and there's still food in there, don't give them any more food. You're overfeeding them. And of course, anybody that's stuffed full is not going to try something new or be hungry. So you want to feed just enough to where they're eating it all. And for the next feeding, they're hungry and raring to go. So that's what you're going to do. So make sure you make that adjustment and do that so, you know, you're not wasting your food and then you're introducing a new food, they're more likely to try it. What I want to tell you that I start adding to their diet, getting them off the Kickstart, is the whole corn. And a lot of people will say, oh, they can't eat the whole corn, they're just too little. But let me assure you, 2-week-old chicks can eat whole corn. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, with my own chickens, and you'll see it more if you have mama hen showing them what to do. Those little tiny babies will gulp down whole corn, and they're not going to eat as much of it because it's a whole food. It's not processed, and it has a lot of nutrition in there. So they're not going to be eating tons and tons of it until they get a little bigger. Okay, so chick. Even the small breeds, like the little bantam, can eat whole corn, because you might think, oh, they're so tiny, he can't eat it, but little Jules is very small and he gobbles up whole corn. He has no problem with it. Another thing I add is cat kibble. So I don't choose the chicken cat kibble. So there's other kinds, you know, of meat they use to make them. Salmon, tuna, like, you know, the list goes on. And they're very small. They're actually smaller pieces than the whole corn. So of course, they'll eat that. Again, at first they don't know what it is, so just put a few in there, and if they don't eat it, don't add more, just leave it in there, and when they get hungry, they'll try it. The third thing I add to them is the oats, and that's usually what I start with, to tell you the truth. The first thing I start with that's new is the oats. And you can get either whole oats, rolled oats, or steam rolled oat groats. There's like 3 ways they process it. Whole oats is how it comes off the plant. It's just the natural whole oat. Crimped oats is where they just have a roller, a heavy roller, and they roll over the dry whole oats, and it like just cracks the little outer, you know, harder part. And then the steamed rolled oat groats look like our oatmeal, like if we were to buy oatmeal. So any of them will do. You know, there's a difference in price. The more processed they are, the price goes up. So whichever is in your budget, it doesn't matter, just feed that. And so I will add that first. And of course they love it. They all love it. And the key to doing all this is to be getting away from the processed food for your animals. They get more nutrition out of it and they like it better. Don't forget to always have the grit ready for them. They have to just throw it in there and they'll pick and scratch and get it when they need it. You don't really need it in a bowl. You can just throw it in there, a good amount. Don't be stingy, just throw it in there. And at that young age, you probably don't really need to offer the crushed oyster shells yet, but if you want to, you can. I do. I just put it in there, let them get used to everything and pick and eat whatever they feel they need. What I want to tell you also is the sooner you can get your babies outside to get them some fresh air and exercise, really the better they're going to do, the better they're going to eat, and just the healthier they're going to be. Even if it's just for short periods, it doesn't even have to be every single day, but if you could, obviously that would be better. But just the more often and, the longer periods of time you can get them outside, the better. Just make sure you watch them good though, because everything's going to want to eat those little tiny babies, and they're not really smart enough yet to realize, like if a hawk goes over, some of them as they mature will scream out and they'll all hide. So unless you have a good mama there to do that and start to teach them, you have to really watch them good so nothing gets them. And this flip coop that we designed and built is a really good way to put your babies outside, and you could run inside. You wouldn't have to sit right there and watch them. And you can just flip the edge down, and what you could do is cover the whole thing in the garden fabric if you wanted to, or use smaller hold wires so the little babies couldn't fit through if you were planning on using it as your little chick nursery, so to speak. You just judge and get the size wire you need for the holes, and it works really, really good. So good. I just love these things. They're very handy. And of course, I'm just using these right now until I build my coop, and they're doing fine in them, even the adult chickens. I wrote this little chicken book, Becky's Guide to Raising Backyard Chickens, for just a little bit of help you might need and a little bit of knowledge and experience you'd like to gain when you're just starting out. Sometimes you're just not quite confident in what you're doing, you're not quite sure, so you just like a little reference, and it's just perfect thickness, little handy book, and it covers the basics so you can, just know you're doing things right. Be confident that you're doing things right. And you can click the link below and buy the book, and happy homesteading. Bye-bye.